You just almost what you said was a compliment as well.
Yeah.
I just did 2 seasons of my own TV show. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm nothing special,
Yeah.
and I somehow got a TV show.
Welcome to the Funny and Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy, with yours truly, Michael Kahan.
Today's guest is hilarious, honest, and real. I love his passion for the craft. It is mesmerizing, uplifting, and inspiring. Troy recently completed his show Full Story, which is a special movie-length opening episode, which he funded by himself on YouTube. The project and story behind it ignited something within my soul, knowing, as he says, if I can do it, then anyone can do it. It's hilarious and it showcases great talent. It's in the episode notes, so check it out. Troy's also touring his show Made Wrong, and that's also in the episode notes. I love this chat, and I reckon you will too. Okay, let's get into it. Troy Kinne is an award-winning comedian, actor, writer, producer, and director. In the early days of his stand-up comedy career, Troy won almost every new comedy competition in Australia. He then went on to perform at several well-known clubs in the US, including Caroline's on Broadway, Stand Up New York, Gotham Comedy Club, The Laugh Factory, the Hollywood Comedy Store, and the Comedy Cellar. On returning to Australia, Troy became a sought-after headline act for the Australian Armed Defence Forces, mining camps, and comedy clubs around the country. In 2010, Troy added some steady work alongside the comedy club circuit, becoming a content producer for the Fifi and Jules radio show and hosting his own regular segment, interviewing celebrity guests such as Seth Rogen, Josh Lawson, Simon Pegg, and DJ Havana Brown. Troy's also made guest appearances on TV and radio, including Nova FM's Husey and Kate, For Breakfast, Hamish and Andy, Chrissy, Sam and Brownie, Have You Been Paying Attention, The 100 with Andy Lee, and the Comedy Channel's Stand Up Australia. However, Troy is mostly known for his own sketch comedy TV shows, Kinne, which was on 7 Mate, and Kinne Tonight on Channel 10. The Kinne show saw Troy nominated for the 2015 Logie Award for Most Outstanding Newcomer, and a number of sketches from his shows have racked up millions of online views worldwide. Troy's comedy is known for being extremely relatable. Proof of this is his video content constantly goes viral, with his online following currently sitting at well over 1 million plus across all social media platforms. So as you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about his love of Thailand, creating videos, full story, heart issues, trusting your gut, being made wrong, regrets, magic writing on planes, getting TV shows, plus plenty more. Before we get into this epic chat, in case you aren't aware, the videos are now available on YouTube under Michael Kahan. That's Kahan with a K, unless you're listening to it already. I'll still be posting snippets of these chats on Instagram under Funny and Failure, so check them out if you want to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, or you want to ask a guest a question. I'd also love it if you would share the podcast or share your takeaways from the chat. It really motivates me, helps the podcast grow, and ensures I can lock in amazing guests like this one. And just as a final reminder, the podcast comes out at 3:30 Melbourne, Australian time, with the full video of the podcast to be released the following day. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's get into it. Okay, I know you go to Thailand a fair bit. Can you tell me what it does for your soul?
Well, I accidentally stumbled on this when I was doing season 1 of Kinne, when we got told it was happening, the sketch show on Channel 7, Mate. And I had just broken up with a girlfriend who lives in Hong Kong. She's American, lives in Hong Kong. And we were supposed to meet in Thailand for the second time. It's sort of becoming our little trip together.
Cute.
Then we got told Kinne is happening, and I've got like 3 weeks of writing. But I'm going to Thailand next week. And I said, well, I'll cancel the Thailand trip.
Yeah.
And Marianne Carroll, who was the executive producer, said, well, if you're just going to be writing, why don't you go by yourself and just use it as a writing trip? And I went, all right. Don't have to twist my arm. So I went. And this is 2014.
Yep.
And I was staying at a very cheap hotel in Patong. and there was no Wi-Fi unless you're in the lobby. So in a week, I wrote so much because I had nothing interfering. And like I couldn't get on Instagram or like it's we all know that how much of a distraction they are, but that I had actual living proof of how much you can get done.
I'm jealous of you, just not even to do writing, and I do screenwriting, but just to not look at my phone every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's weird. So I did that. I mean, just to detour a little bit, in lockdown, I happened to accidentally be in Sandy Point, which is where my parents used to live.
Yep.
And I spent like 3 months there in lockdown. And Ryan Shelton lives nearby. So he and I would go for walks on the beach.
That's so cute.
But he told me, just delete Instagram and Facebook from your phone and watch in a few days how much different you feel. And when you, because I was trying to write stuff, so when you do it, you'll find yourself, you write like, as you know, if you said you do screenwriting, a bit of dialogue and go, oh, yeah, that's good. And then as a little reward, you grab your phone and you just have a scroll.
Yep.
So I went for a good 2 days where I'd grab my phone and go, oh, that's right, there's nothing on there, put it down, write some more, grab your phone, oh, that's right, there's nothing on there. Then eventually you're not grabbing it and your brain, it's like limitless. You unlock all these things of your brain that's not worried about Instagram and Facebook. Oh. So in Thailand, while I was there, a friend that I weirdly met in Sandy Point, she was a personal trainer and I trained with her in Leongatha. She goes, are you in Thailand? Messages me. And I said, yeah. And she said, you should come and look at this street I'm on. She does Muay Thai fighting. So she showed me this street. It used to be called Fighter Street then. It's where all the fighters lived. There was Tiger Muay Thai Gym, Top Team Muay Thai Gym, all these gyms. And then there was one like fitness gym. And it's just all healthy food and it's amazing. Now it's called Fitness Street. And it's just all gyms, all healthy food. And so now once a year at least, I go there for a month. And people always, when I put photos, think I'm on holiday. And like my friends I'm working with or manager or whatever will say, sorry to bother you when you're on holiday. I'm like, I'm not on holiday. Message me what you want. Because it's probably the most work I do. I get up and do a fitness class at like 8 a.m. Then I write all day. 5 p.m. I'll do a Muay Thai class. Yeah. So it's like you're just locked in and honed in. Yeah, and there's a swimming pool and there's nice weather and on the weekend you drive to a beach. That's what you put on Instagram so people think you're on holiday. But I get so much done. And I've realised what the key factors are is you've got someone cleaning your room every day because you're in a cheap hotel.
Yep.
You've got food just outside that you just walk out, buy it, grab it.
Yep.
Eat it, and you hand your washing in a basket. That gets done
like that.
So and it frees up so much time to do nothing but work,
and also the mental space thinking about that stuff, like the cleaning.
And then when you get home, that hits you so hard because I'll get home from Thailand within a week. My place just looks like absolute shit because I'm like, where's my cleaner, and why am I doing washing myself? It hits you hard when you get back.
You know what Larry David does? Apparently he only has like one set of like plates and a fork and a knife, so he just cleans the one thing.
I've heard so many people do that. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? But I recently moved house and I feel like I did a lot of decluttering of like, I'm almost embarrassed to say, when I was putting all my utensils and culinary stuff into a box, I had about 11 different fry pans. And we're all pretty much the same one.
Were they just like scattered across the house?
Yeah, there'd be one cupboard oven, one in a drawer. Just like so wherever I needed a fry pan, there was one readily available.
I've been here for 3 years and I'm still finding stuff that I'm like, what the hell? I don't need this. Oh, that's the worst. But back to that is life changing. And I'm going to try and delete, when I say try, I'm going to do this. You've given me
Give it a go, yeah.
I'm going to delete Instagram, I'm going to delete Facebook because I'm writing a new.
And you can use it on your laptop, but just off your phone. So you've still got Instagram and Facebook on your laptop.
Yeah.
But just off your phone.
I'll do it on my iPad because I write off my laptop. But I just noticed this. I've just started a new movie and every bloody, I do the paragraph, I'm the greatest writer in the world. Look at it and then look at my phone and then 20 minutes, I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Because I can write only solidly generally for an hour, then I need a break and then, I've created this whole world. And
are you someone who, if you've been on a flight, do you write, script stuff or anything on a flight?
No, but I get ideas and I write dot points. I'm the guy that if people are speaking, I'll pull out my phone and say, what did you say? What did you say?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I just saw something recently that when you're on a plane, who was it? It's annoying me. I can't think of who it was. But anyway, it was Kenny Smith, the basketballer from who used to play for Houston Rockets.
Okay.
Who's on, you'd know, NBA basketball, Kenny Smith.
Yep.
This might be on YouTube. He was on a flight and he was so tired, he was about to go to sleep and he's sitting next to this lady who asked, probably asked what he did because even though he's short in NBA, he's tall in real life to a normal person.
Yep.
And he said, I'm a basketballer and work for the NBA. And he asked her, she's a psychologist. And he said, I'm going to go to sleep and, I've got stuff to do when I get back. And she goes, do me a favor, don't go to sleep.
Wow.
Do work while we're in the air. And he said, why? And she goes, when you're in the air, and I'll get all this wrong terminology-wise, but the air compression and stuff does something where your brain is more alert and can focus more.
Interesting.
And also, if you don't get Wi-Fi or whatever on the plane, you don't have those distractions. But she said your brain is elevated literally and figuratively when you're up in the air in a flight.
Wow.
And he said he did it and got more. And now, after hearing it, I think back to, because I always on a long flight, I'll try and write a script or something. And I feel like when I get into it, the next thing you know, your plane's landing because you've just lost yourself in it because your brain, for some reason, look up the reason. Yeah. But your brain focuses more.
I go to Queensland heaps, many times a year. I know it's probably not as long as the Thailand
Become
show.
a bragging competition too.
Like so much. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Not as much as Thailand. But, that would be really good. Do you find like you do the whole 8 hours or 4 hours or whoa?
Yeah, I try. Like if I've got a script or something I'm working on, I try and not necessarily to get work done, just because I feel like it makes the flight go way quicker.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try that one. And I want to go back to Thailand because there's this famous quote I've made up in my head, which you said, and you find, I think the wording was that you're the best version of yourself in Thailand.
Yeah. And so like I said, I go there and work a lot.
Yep.
But after COVID, I went there and I was there with like friends I hadn't seen in ages. Like we just happened to go at the same time. And so the first week after COVID, I thought I'd made a mistake. I might have been the first flight there. And this street I've just told you that has nothing but restaurants and healthy eating. There was one restaurant open.
Oh, wow.
For the first few days. And I would finish my Muay Thai session with this trainer, Sawat, who I always train with. And this restaurant was closing at 6 and I'd just miss it every time. And I'd say to him, so I was riding my scooter half an hour to another little town that had restaurants open. And I was thinking, what have I done here? Like, it was like I Am Legend, that Will Smith movie.
Yeah.
I've got it I put it on my Instagram, just walking down the street and there's nothing. But then few days, another restaurant opened there. I actually I should have put a time-lapse camera on and watched the place build up with infrastructure. But what I found then is, so my friends that two of them were old friends and another guy was someone I just met who was in the room next to me. And there's like a group of 8 of us. Yep. And we just would train during the week. And it was the first time, because I got told season 3 was happening. We'll probably come back to this later. Yep. Season 3 of Kinne Tonight was happening. So I'm like, oh, sweet, I'll do some writing of that. But we had a fair bit of time when I got back anyway. So it's the first time I allowed myself to enjoy Thailand a bit as well, because we'd just been through 2 years of lockdown. Let's get some of our life back.
Yeah, good.
So we were training, and because I was hanging out with these girls who were so into it, the fitness side of things, the mental health side of things, we were just doing everything. Like we would train, we were going to meditation sessions, sound baths, not every, once a week we'd do something like that.
I love this stuff.
Yeah, and we all talk now and go, like I got back, I look at photos and I was so fit and and it just felt amazing. And I'm like, we sort of didn't realize till later, I was like, yeah, well, think about it. Everything you're supposed to do that's good for your body, we were doing it constantly because we didn't have, it was like a fantasy camp of what life would be like if you didn't have a job or you didn't have stress, because we literally just like thought, we've gone through COVID, we can do what we want. And it was like living stress-free and just fueling your body with everything
so
good.
Jealous.
And it's just proof that it works. Like, I felt amazing.
And did you find like self-talk and how you spoke and saw the world? Were you like way more optimistic?
Just
as well?
in such a good mood constantly. Yeah.
Oh, would you move there?
Definitely. I mean, I thought about it years ago before Kinne Tonight happened.
Yep.
Because I used to do little videos at Tiger Muay Thai,
Yep.
and I get along with the staff there really well. And I thought, I wonder if I could. I mean, I'd love to live there if I could make a living there, and there wasn't issues of visa and everything like that. But so me and one of the girls that I mentioned, we ended up getting engaged later. That's how much in a good mood we were and swept up in. We're not engaged anymore.
That's how much we're in a good mood.
So now we're back in the real world. It's like, oh, we just got caught up in it a bit, didn't we?
I've never heard that before. I love that.
But it was just, it's the best I've ever felt. And everyone who goes to this place, I feel like I'm selling it too much because it's almost like,
You're getting a sponsorship.
It's not like the beach where I don't want people to go there.
Yeah.
I want it to be my
spot.
place.
Yep.
Because you do come home, like you get on the plane and go there, and when you're on the plane back, you feel like a different person.
And
You just feel stronger, healthier, and just switched on.
It's inspiring because it shows we can do a lot of that stuff in our day-to-day life, even though we don't as well. But
Well, there's no reason that you can't do it because I'm basically living there. Like I said, the only things are you got to cook your own food and do your washing. Like, big deal. That's not much to whinge about. But it's so when I've come back, I've tried to I get my apartment where I live now. I've got just a one-bedroom apartment. My bed is in the lounge room because I'm trying to recreate the Thailand hotel room I stay in. I literally put all like my vitamins and protein stuff where I'd put it in the hotel room. I try and recreate it.
And have you found that like psychologically?
I can get there. It's just it is. I think what I get off on most being in Thailand is I have a routine.
Yeah.
Because here, especially if I'm doing gigs to work up a new stand-up show or something, you can't get a routine going. And that's what kills me. I just saw a post from a friend who used to own the gym I used to go to in Williamstown. Yep. And the whole post was about get your bedtime same every night. And he goes, once you do this, like, as in make it happen. I'm like, I can't. Because sometimes I'm doing a gig,
far away.
So like I
6
can't.
o'clock, 8 o'clock.
I literally can't do that. But when I'm in Thailand for a month, I can. I go to bed at like 8 o'clock. And I'm up at 6, and it's just awesome.
Because it does play. I'm so bad with my sleep, and I have no excuse. But the small moments where I've gone to bed at the same time and had that routine, it changes.
Yeah.
But also, I know we'll come back to Kinne tonight. There's a lot of things, but used to be, I think, a gardener's / landscape assistant as well. So you would have had those times ingrained right then, and then you go full time into comedy, and it's like you probably wake up one day and you're like, oh crap, what am I doing?
Yeah. But that's also the thing that I've said to you'll find in any job, even if it's your dream job, you'll find a way to whinge about it. But all I've got to do is go back and do landscaping for a week, and I'll be like, oh, what am I complaining about?
Well, they did that with an AFL player many years ago. I can't remember who was having a bit of issues, and they were like, okay, go and work as a labourer for a week. And then he came back and he did it. There was no issues.
Yeah,
since. He's like,
you realise how good you've got it.
Yeah.
But you've got to go through that to appreciate. But I think we move our own goalposts pretty quickly, which is fine, but you've got to remind yourself you have done that. Because then it reminds yourself you've achieved.
Yeah. Are you able to do that? Because that's pretty hard. You've gone to new levels, and sometimes 1 year might not look like the other year.
Yeah. Well, that's what's tough in the stand-up career and creator career, whatever you want to call it, that you're constantly looking for the next job.
Yep.
There's no stability, really.
Yep.
You're at the point where you're confident there's stability, but there's not. It's not guaranteed.
Yep.
So you've got to constantly be working. But in terms of moving the goalposts, I think I'm both good at it, and I've got to remind myself of what you used to do, because I feel like that's
nice.
And especially when you, like, speaking of, like, if you want to label something as a failure, I think nothing can technically, I mean, it's technically a failure if you just look at it on paper. Oh, that didn't work. But like, it's like what we do with we're so famous. Well, not famous, but we have a habit of it in Australia with Olympians. Like, an Olympian who gets to the Olympics and like, oh my God, you got to the Olympics. That's amazing. You're incredible. Now you're at the Olympics. All right, win gold or it's nothing. Oh, you lost gold.
Like, a loser. You're only in the top 10 of the best.
When you got to the Olympics, you thought that couldn't be done. But now that gets forgotten. And now like I'm the same. Like I remember walking into the Comics Lounge in North Melbourne before I just started stand-up, but before I'd started doing it regularly.
Yep.
And it was a Friday night, and in my head I went, oh, if I ever did a spot here on a Friday night, I would think,
oh, amazing.
I've made it. That's it. And now I've had times where they'll text me on a Friday night, can you fill in for something? I'm like, a bit busy, mate. I got a dinner, you know. But you do just forget what you've achieved. And I think it's good to keep that in mind. And sorry if I'm jumping all over the place a bit.
I love this. You keep on going.
Because I was thinking of stuff on the way.
Yeah, I love this.
But when people online criticize you, like I remember when season 3 of Kinne didn't happen, and someone wrote, like, you know, especially a while ago, it was almost a phase or a fad to troll and give shit online. Said, got cancelled after 2 seasons, and I'm like,
what a piece
you
of
just
shit.
Almost what you said was a compliment as well.
Yeah.
I just did 2 seasons of my own TV show. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm nothing special, and I somehow got a TV show. Like, it's give me shit if you want, but I didn't think that would happen.
They're like, congratulations on, getting up on Australian TV, which is so hard, putting your own brand and your unique outlook, making a success, inspiring a lot of people, making a lot of people laugh. Yeah. Were you confused? Or you're like, you don't get it?
It's like, people just want a reason to give shit. I think it just,
Tall poppy syndrome.
It's a fad we got to let go.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll build up to Kinne tonight, but I want to go back to, failure and the goalpost, because I think that's really interesting because, you would have had many different milestones along the way and, working as a gardener's assistant and then doing some skits. I think you then meet Max Price, who's been on the podcast, and he's a wizard. You then do stand-up, you're getting success there, and then you've achieved so much stuff. And then Comics Lounge is my favourite venue here. Yeah. Amazing. And then isn't it kind of like crazy where, they call you up and you're like, oh, actually, I can't now. So how do you kind of put things into perspective? Because we'll talk about Kinne tonight and some of the points, because I'm sure not getting season 3 would sting. How are you able to easily come back to like, I've actually done this? Not many people have been able to achieve this.
Well, because you can easily, if you focus too much on what's just been taken away from you, you forget about what you've also got in your back pocket.
Ah, nice, yeah.
Which, for me, stand-up, like we were just saying that the next job you don't know where, so you're a bit scared. But stand-up comedy for me is almost a safety net. Like, because I can always build on that and, do shows and sell tickets to. It might not be as many tickets as I used to, or it might be more here and less there, but it's a constant way to make a living. And if it turns out that's the only way I can make a living, then, like we said, go back and do landscape gardening and see if that's okay with you. Because I think we just forget what our achievements, our goals were initially, which is a good thing because you get that goal and it's like, all right, what's next? How can I build on this?
Yep.
But it's almost like, I heard someone make the analogy once of when you're ironing a shirt, you just go back a little bit and then you go back a little bit less, a little bit less. It's sort of the same analogy in that, you can always dip back into stand-up comedy and let that branch out to other things, which is what I have definitely tried to do. But it's always there, and I think it's got nothing wrong with it. Just because, the TV show's not happening anymore. What am I going to do? It's like, well, what did you do when you didn't have the TV show?
That's pretty cool. I think Monty Franklin, I know he's friends with. Is he friends with Lawson? I'm not sure. I don't know if you know. Monty.
Josh Lawson, yeah. Well, I'm friends with Monty and I'm friends with Josh Lawson.
So. You know everyone. We'll talk about that. But Monty said something very similar because he's also been writing stuff as well. Yeah. And that like comedy's his base. He's like safety net. But, he loves it and enjoys it. But he's also, because he's able to expand it, he can then, write a movie or do this. And I think that's really cool because sometimes as a stand-up, it can be, credit to you. You know, you built the skits, you've done the content creation, you've done the shows. You're able to do so many different things. I think that's so exciting as well.
Yeah, and obviously when I started, I couldn't believe I was doing stand-up comedy, and then I couldn't believe I was getting paid for it.
Yeah,
even though it wasn't money I could live on, but now I can. And it's like you got to remind yourself, if stand-up comedy is your safety net, if you told yourself that as a 16-year-old kid, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
So stand-up comedy is going to be my my job that I do while I'm trying to do other things.
That's so cool.
So
you're living the dream. And so let's build up to Kinne tonight. You've had, and you mentioned, what's her name? Marianne Carroll. And I think this is an inspiration for someone like me. I used to be an accountant. I've written a few screenplays. Long story short, I won't bore everyone again. I had a TV show deal. I was going to go to America, and you're an inspiration in the sense of you put out content out there, you got your name seen, and then that's kind of led to opportunities. And as you said before, you're just like some ordinary guy or something like that. You said you're nothing special.
Yeah.
And you've got these shows, and we'll talk about Full Story as well. So you've been putting content out there, and then this lady comes up to you and...
Well, I'll say this because I know you'll find it interesting now. So years before that, when I'd been doing stand-up for probably 5 years, and when I started stand-up, there was a lot of competitions for new comics.
Yep.
I think it was a way for the venues to make money because everyone brings their friends to make sure you make it. This is when we're like in our 20s. And I won a few of these competitions, and just having that on your resume looked good, even though it might not be as big a deal as it looks on paper.
Yeah.
But we quickly formed a little group. It was me, Tom Seagate, Dave Thornton, and Monty Franklin.
Oh, I didn't know this.
And that's why I thought you'll find it interesting. Yeah. And we used to do like football clubs together. And then this is when YouTube was just starting. We filmed a few things together, and we filmed a couple of little sketches and made there was a competition that Channel 7 were having, and they were looking for like the next group of friends, like I guess a working dog, but on a lower scale, to be the next comedy troupe. And we entered that competition, and you're just basically writing what your idea is and send a link or a DVD of some videos you've made. And that's probably what gave us a leg up, because I've always been into editing and stuff. I did it at uni, so I sort of had the know-how, and along with Max Price, not that I'd met him then, but of how to burn a video onto a DVD. Not everyone knew how to do that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a thing in our corner that we had. But at the same time, the Comedy Channel, which obviously was big for us being comedians, because we had been on Stand Up Australia, which was a show that...
Oh, yeah, I just had Cam Knight.
On Foxtel. Cam Knight was the host. Yeah, he's great. And we had been on that, and they were having basically a similar competition. It wasn't as much... I think Channel 7 won, if you won, you got 25 grand to make a pilot. Comedy Channel...
That's a lot of money then, especially then.
Yeah, definitely. And the Comedy Channel was a similar competition. I don't think it was as much money, but it was a similar thing. And we just assumed we got a better chance with the Comedy Channel because they know us. Yep. So Monty and I went to this SPA conference where you pitch for the Comedy Channel.
Yep.
At the same time, the representative from Channel 7 had a meeting with us and said to us, if you bow out of the Comedy Channel competition, you have won our competition.
No way.
And I don't know why. We just thought we were so good. We said no. We're going with the Comedy Channel because we're here.
Yeah.
And we thought if we win that one, then we've got a bidding war at our hands.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do the Comedy Channel one. We don't win. I think Jason Garn, Wilfred guy, the guy who made Wilfred, he might have won. Oh, I don't know. But we had some good competition anyway. But Jason Garn was doing like an old folks home, and I remember seeing the footage and going, oh, God, that looks good. Me bragging that I know how to burn a DVD. This guy's got like a film.
Wow.
And anyway, but they still said, we'll still give you money to make a pilot.
Oh.
So we made a pilot.
They could have said now for 20 grand or 50.
Yeah. But they did well by us. We made a pilot on our own. We filmed sketches, and then we went to the Elephant Wheelbarrow pub in St Kilda that used to have comedy shows.
Yep.
We had a live night there where it was us presenting the sketches.
Yep.
And it was just the stage. It was a pub, but we got like, I had a big bookshelf of DVDs. We carried that. I lived like probably a kilometre from there. Me and Monty carried it down there and put it on stage, and then we had a big photo of us. So it looked like a lounge room on the stage, made a set. And I'll just give a shout out to John Tabar, who worked on Rove. I met him. I did work experience on the Mick Malloy show and met him.
Yeah.
He came, I just told him we were doing it, and he came down just to watch, but he ended up...
And you were doing work experience, you just wanted to like
Well, he was
support
just
you.
such a kind guy that I guess like he saw my eagerness and saw, you're actually doing some things. So he was being very supportive. I know he had just had a kid then, so he might have wanted to get out of the house as well. But he came and directed the pilot for us. It's like, this is a guy who works for Rove directing and TV shows. Now he works on Hard Quiz, Tom Gleason's show. And he set up the cameras like better than we had it, and would like, you just did clap the audio sync and basically, and it was just amazing. So I'm so glad that then he saw that we went somewhere with it. So we did that pilot. That then got us a deal to make a new proper pilot teamed up with Fremantle Productions, who had Jason. Oh, what's his name? Jason from Working Dog. I feel terrible that I can't remember his surname right now, but he's a guy from The Late Show, and
The Late Show.
He was basically our producer, I guess. Yeah. And we made another pilot, which was filmed professionally, called El Cheapo. That's what it's called. So that was the gimmick that everything was done on the cheap, and it was pretty cool in that. So the bit that won them over from our first pilot was we did a sketch where it's us going to Bali and Monty falls asleep. Our plane gets turned back. Monty wakes up and thinks we're in Bali, but we're still in Melbourne.
Oh, that's great.
But what we did was we were on a fake plane that out in Moorabbin, there's an empty plane they let you film in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still there, but
there's going to be a lot of influencers going to put it out there.
Well, it's half a plane. The front half has got crap everywhere, but if you just film the back half, it looks like a plane. And we'd have like put sound effects,
like
prepare for takeoff, blah, blah, blah. And then it would cut to one of those model planes we bought at the airport, and just with a string pulling it along this Lego runway.
Yeah.
And then we just lifted it up. So it had all the sound effects, but looked so shit on purpose.
It's like Robot Chicken sort of like,
yeah. Exactly. And then we had Monty was getting scared because there was turbulence. And so that's why he had sleeping pills. And he gets scared, and we have like lightning, like a flash, and we cut to it, and it's just Monty's, like one of our hands holding the plane under the shower. But that's what they loved, and that's what the live audience reacted to the most, how funny that was. So that was sort of the brief on this new one. We want more of that. Show that how cheap you are making this show, which... Not much of a gimmick now, but back then it definitely was.
I still think it could work now, especially with how good technology is.
Yeah, and especially now that we're leading towards, people are doing that on social media. It's sort of not a big deal now. Like, people play their wife by putting a tea towel on their head. So that's what we were doing back then. Long story short, we did that pilot live in front of a studio audience. They loved it and said, this is probably going to get commissions. So we were all excited.
Oh, nice.
And then it just didn't. They just didn't go with it.
Just like fizzled out?
Yeah.
Or?
And and just told us. Then they wanted us to do a travel show pilot.
They must have really liked you.
Yeah, they liked us. They just didn't like the show. And we did this travel show pilot, which just, we felt like it wasn't us. They were trying to do Hamish and Andy's Caravan of Courage, is that what it was?
Yeah.
With us. And I feel like our heart wasn't in it because we were so into the sketch show. So we were trying to do sketches on this work it in, which is what they wanted, but it just it felt like it was being crowbarred in. So that didn't happen. So cut to years later, probably at least 5 or so years later, where we'd all gone on our merry way and still doing stand-up together and stuff.
But prior to that, were you like, had you just given up on it and you're like, okay, I'll just do stand-up?
Yeah.
Like, were you trying different things in between, or you kind of like let that one go?
We let it go, which was hard. And they basically said to us in there, you can bring someone else on board as a writer.
Yep.
And it might be good to get someone with experience. So we had Lawrence Mooney and Dave O'Neill
okay.
in writing of it now. And Lawrence was great. But I do remember Lawrence saying, because I was sort of like, maybe we should film a couple more things or re-edit. And Lawrence basically said, that's done. If they've said no, because he had experience. And he said, just keep doing your own thing. You know, he wouldn't even remember saying that, but that really stood out to me. So we just kept doing our stand-up and whatnot. And then I meet Max, as you know. Max and I filmed a couple of things. And this is when YouTube started to take off. So when we did that El Cheapo pilot, YouTube had only just become a thing.
Oh, wow.
Really, yeah. Because I remember in the pitch Monty and I did, we just made a reference. This is at the Spark conference in the competition that we didn't win. We made a reference to YouTube as a joke, like, you know, if this doesn't go to TV, we'll just put them on YouTube. And that got a laugh, like, because that's where everything that goes to die is on YouTube. Whereas now YouTube, you can make $1 million. Yep. And so when we stopped doing that, just started doing stand-up, Max and I start making videos. We put our first one on YouTube. It goes nuts. It was the...
Oh, your first one goes nuts?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, okay, that's crazy.
Well, actually, I went over and Max was making a video with Alex Williamson. So I wasn't really a part of that. I was in it, but it wasn't my video or anything. And then I just... Doing that was so much fun. I thought I might just start making some videos because Max had a camera. And I had a camera earlier, but I had sold it like a year before. And so... I just said to Max, do you want to make a video? It was me and Nick Cody.
Holy shit, you know so many people, especially then as well.
Yeah. So it was, because me and Cody we had done like a radio
is this when you
demo
used to write?
together.
Oh,
yeah. I had just started writing for the Fifi and Jules radio show.
Yep.
So I was doing a few demos and stuff just now and then to keep your hat in the ring, so to speak.
Yep.
And so it was me, Cody, Elliot Loney, Max. Max brought his camera and his microphones. And this is when there was a lot of videos that were popular called shit people in LA say, shit girls say, shit police officers say. And I looked and thought, is there anything of shit no one says, like the opposite?
And it just came to you like that.
Yeah, well, I thought it'd be good, like I was thinking, do you call it opposite world or something like that?
Yep.
And I looked on YouTube, shit never said, shit no one says, and I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, let's do that, being silly.
Yep.
'Cause that's sort of always been my thing, which has almost always also my Achilles heel. I tried too hard to make something original. Paid off in this case.
Yep.
But as we get to full story of that, you'll probably see that sometimes you just got to accept that you can do something different. It doesn't have to be completely original.
Yep.
So we did Shit Never Said while watching the London Olympics because the Olympics were on and everyone was watching it. And that video went nuts and it was on, Channel 10's sports segment. It was on Channel 9.
And there's not a lot of channels then as well. Social media is not around.
So in my, and we just thought we were the kings of YouTube. So in my head, I'm like, well, let's make another video and make that one go viral as well. So we just kept making videos. The next one obviously didn't go as well, but we kept making videos and some of them would go nuts. So then we did another one, which was a parody of this Kia ad that was on a lot during the tennis, which was the Man of Now. We did the Real Man of Now. And it was me. It's the guy that walks along the street saying, I'm the new age man, I'm this, I'm that. And we basically did the same thing, but basically trying to say if a really insecure guy told the truth, what he would say. So we did that. And that one, again, it was on news.com and it was in the paper and stuff.
Is that where they give you nice adjectives?
Yeah, they kept because I had I'd had a hernia operation about a month before that, and I couldn't go to the gym or anything. I put on weight. No, I wasn't massive or anything, but it definitely wasn't. If you were going to say we're going to put your picture in the paper, I would have been, do we have to? But anyway, each one found basically a new way of calling me fat. It's like, portly comedian does a different take on whatever, or robust.
It's just so unnecessary.
Yeah.
They're like ugly fat fucks.
Yeah. It's like basically they thought that was the comedy of it. I'm like, because look how different he looks to the actual guy.
Were you just like, why?
Yeah, because one rang me to ask to they write a story about it in this, and I said as a joke, I said, but yeah, feel free not to use the words portly or chubby like these other two.
Yeah.
And oh, okay.
You can just say funny.
And the next one comes out and it said rotund. Like, oh well, you found a loophole. I'll give you that.
They earned that one.
Yeah, but so that video just and this is back when we still do it. Videos get shared, but it used to be you would just send an email of a link. There was no phones; you'd get it on your laptop, sort of thing. You couldn't, you just couldn't really send a link on your phone. Isn't that crazy to think now? And Marianne Carroll, who's was head of comedy at Channel 7, she got that email. Now, this is the only reason, well, part of the reason I told you about the El Cheapo sketch show on the Channel 7 thing.
Yep.
So she gets in contact with my manager, and my manager calls me, whatever, says, oh, Channel 7 want to have a meeting with you about doing a pilot or possibly a pilot for a sketch comedy show.
Cool.
And in my head, though, I'm going, I've fucking done that twice. And then they wanted us to do a travel show. And and I just thought, I said, I don't think I'm going to bother because it's just heartbreaking. And that sounds stupid to anyone else. Like, why would you not do it? But I had done it. And I was, it sounds so weird, but I was having fun. I was making, a living that money you couldn't live on now, but enough to get by. And we were filming stuff, and I always want to say, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
To the TV network.
Well, can I answer that as a creative? When you created something, put your heart and soul, you're thinking about it all the time. You're at dinners with friends and family. You're just thinking about your script and what you can do, and then you make it. You do it with friends. You collaborate, and then it doesn't go anywhere. That's like the worst.
And I think part of it was you're asking me to do what we've already done. Like, I know we're doing slightly different stuff, but you've got a sketch pilot sitting on your shelf somewhere. Look at that. And then...
How many years is this in between, did you say?
It's probably 3 or 4 or something, But then Marianne wrote back. We didn't say... even though I said, no, my manager, because she didn't want... and probably lucky, she wrote back... Just like to get some more information on what's involved.
That's a good manager.
And anyway, Marianne wrote back, and I can't remember exactly what she wrote, but it was something along the lines of that she had seen this stuff and wants to do a new version. And she said, I've watched the one they did here. And the one we did there, it wasn't like I was the head of it. It was but she said, and I felt that Troy stood out as... Like
you're like suck on that, friends.
The everyday and the leader sort of thing, whatever. I can't remember exactly what she said, but something like that. So then I thought, and just the way she wrote it, I'm like, oh, whoever this is, I haven't talked to her before.
Yep.
And what she's saying is...
It resonates.
Yeah, she's massaging all my ego.
She's very smart, that one.
Yeah, so anyway... I go and meet with Marianne and we just clicked straight away, and I told her, because I'd been writing stuff with Josh Lawson, then we were trying to write a movie script. I'd met him like 2 years earlier in Los Angeles. And she's like, oh, because it was impressive that I knew Josh Lawson. And we just got along.
Someone was impressive.
Yeah. Because she goes, I think we make a pilot and like the way you're doing it, we just do it the same way, don't. Because I was sort of pitching, we could do this with that. She goes, I think we just do it so it's what you're doing. And I'm like, cool. So,
like literally just all the skits you're creating, let's just put it into a TV show.
Yes, that was the brief, bring the internet feel to TV. Whereas the last time we did it, it was, all right, you've done your own version. Now let's do it with all the glitz and glamour of a proper show.
Yeah.
And that's probably what ruined it, because they loved all the things like I said, the fake plane being dangled on string. We did that stuff again, but it still looked kind of good. It's like it wasn't really... and especially these days on social media, people can pick when something's authentic. Like if it's weird, someone's just done a version of it in their house, it'll go, but prime example, there's a video we did called Marriage Porn, Max and I, and Nikki Osborne's in it and Emma Wilson.
Is that at the Rose?
No, that's a different one. That's on the Bachelor.
Oh, yeah.
But this was just marriage porn, and it was I remember it was an idea Max had, and Max and I were just sort of tossing ideas back and forth. And I think we're talking about Amy Schumer's show at the time because she had a sketch show on at the same time as us.
Yep.
And he said this marriage porn idea, and I thought he was telling me a sketch he saw on Amy Schumer's show.
Yep.
I said, "Fuck, that sounds good." I said, "Where can I watch that? Where'd you see that?" He goes, "No, it's just an idea I've got." I'm like, "Fuck!" I'm like, "Let's film that," because I had a stand-up show coming up at the festival, and I'm like, I'll show it at the show and see how it goes.
Oh, really?
So we filmed that ourselves. Oh, yeah, and this is when I was getting kicked out of my apartment in St Kilda because I was about to knock the building down. So I said, let's film it in my apartment because it's bare. It looks like a shitty porn set. So we filmed the porn bits in my apartment just because it was a little shithole that added to the production value, surprisingly. And we filmed that and it went great. It's still one of my favourite videos.
I know.
And so the reason I bring it up is because then in Kinne tonight, we reshot it because that hadn't been shown on TV before.
Yep.
So we reshot it, basically the exact same sketch, a couple of different actors and different effects, and it just was in like this mansion house and all that. And when I've put them both online, the one we did goes better. Just because it just looks like we've made it ourselves mucking around.
Ah, interesting.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah. So people, I think, just connect with it more when you've clearly done something yourself mucking around rather than, oh, this is the corporate version.
You can feel it when someone's being authentic.
And I think that's something that networks especially have a hard time getting in their heads and a hard time accepting, and sort of rightfully so because it means –
they don't need
it. You can just film stuff on a phone and it's going to go just as well, which, will probably be in 10 years from now, that'll be the case.
Okay, I've got 10,000 questions.
Yeah.
So obviously...
I've got time for 3, so choose them wisely.
Mary Ann Carroll, so how does that then go with your other friends? You're like, well, I'm the leader, it's going to be my show. Like, how do you have that conversation?
Well, so at this time, we had all sort of started doing our own thing. Monty had moved to America. So Monty moved to America and he was just doing stand-up there.
Yep.
And you've talked to him, he is killing it over there now, touring everywhere.
Yep.
So Monty's doing that. And it would all happen so fast because I had to say to Max, I think we're doing a pilot with Channel 7. And he was just sort of going along with it.
He's like, yes,
like, we'll film some more stuff. Yeah, sure. And Tom came on as a writer, so Tom was still involved. Thornton, we got as an actor, but Thornton was doing he was doing a lot. I think he was hosting Studio A.
He was the biggest name at that time.
Channel 31 and stuff. He was doing a lot of stuff. But yeah, we've always, Thornton's in Kinne tonight and stuff. I always bring in who I can. But it happened so quick. I do wish, if looking back at that, because Monty and I were very close. We did like a radio show together and stuff. But then when he moved, and this is back when if you move to America, you don't keep in contact as much. Like not like now, like you text
just a WhatsApp
on Facebook and all that. Yeah. But I did regret that I didn't sort of bring Monty into it or see, do you want to be involved? Because Monty and I really did start doing stuff on our own. But then when I met with Max, I sort of just started doing stuff with him.
Yeah.
That's why I guess I say it all happened so fast because I feel like I didn't get a chance to reach out to people that I was originally with.
Yep. Did anyone care?
No, well, Monty later on sort of not cared, but was like, why wasn't I involved? But like, because we had redone some sketches that we had done in the original one that we had written. And like, so technically he's involved, but not. So rightfully so. He was like, oh, you're doing sketches that we wrote together. I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I should have told you. And so, but second season, I got him as a writer and all right, we'll come in, make some money, write some stuff. And and
well, it's a good lesson as well because you're caught up in it. You don't know, like you've probably got like laser-like vision and you're like,
well, also, part of me, like you said, Marianne sort of made it clear she wanted me from the thing and who I was working with now.
Yeah.
And, that's could be an excuse, but I was just sort of had the blinkers on. I was like, all right, let's use this team. So then season 2, when I mentioned Monty, he said, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck, I should have done this from the start.
Oh, that's nice that you got him back on. So
yeah,
we'll get into full story, but you've got such a large story that I think building up to this is really important. You're an inspiration in the sense so many people, including me, I've got like 5 TV shows ready to go. I've got a movie. I might film some skits. I was speaking to Luke about how I could go about it. We'll talk about Luke if it comes up as well. But Luke Goodall's amazing, and I know he's been your producer.
Yeah.
So many people want to make stuff, but they don't actually. They're like, I want to be a screenwriter. I want to be an actor, but they don't actually do anything about it. And I've been guilty of that many times. Yeah. And then you've got someone like you who you said, just started filming some stuff, created some skits, and then you've built along the way, like a huge inspiration for so many people. Australian industry is really hard, and you put your name there, not only getting one show, but you got 2 shows as well, and then you make your own, which we'll get into. I think that's really inspiring. So how does it feel when you get the Kinne tonight? You've done season 1, season 2. You think season 3 is about to happen. They've greenlit it as possible as it can. Tell me what's going on in your mind.
That's probably the hardest time I've had to go through in terms of mentally starting again, because it was so guaranteed it was happening. And if they had have pulled the pin earlier, I would have been okay, because I actually didn't think they would go season 3.
Oh, how come?
I don't know why. I just had a feeling, probably because season 2 I felt dropped off because COVID hit.
Yep.
COVID hit, we couldn't film. So you get basically 3 weeks to film the sketches. Yep. We didn't get our last week. So we filmed bits and pieces legally from my balcony looking down at an alleyway.
like legally.
Yeah, and there was a bit in a car park where we could only have one person in the car. It was just annoying.
Yeah.
And then even more annoying, the live studio bits. And this is where the show was going to get better then and season 3, because I was going to have stand-up comics on, because I missed, like when Rove was on, I had a dream of doing a 5-minute spot on Rove and doing stand-up comedy like they do on Letterman and Conan O'Brien and stuff.
So for the non-Australians, Rove's our biggest thing, makes or breaks careers.
You got American listeners, have you?
Say that again?
You got American listeners, have you? Jeez.
Yes.
Yeah. I better start bringing my A game. Yeah. So Rove Live was a Tonight Show, and they were now and then he'd have a stand-up comic on showcasing their stand-up. And there's just nothing for that in Australia. Now, basically breakfast radio, you go on the project and talk about, but you don't have anything where you do stand-up. So I was trying to figure out a way to do that, but in a different way. So I thought I figured that out, where I'd talk to someone about my favourite joke of theirs, and as we talk about it, the making of it, we cut to samples of it.
Oh, yeah, that's smart.
And I was really looking forward to doing that. And they had given us sort of the green light on other characters and to let loose a bit more for season 3.
Oh, okay.
So it was going to be good, but getting back to season 2, then because of COVID, no one's allowed in the audience, and we can't have more than 3 people on the stage who have to be a metre apart. So I'm just introducing sketches and doing things by myself on a stool. And, they all praise me and say I did it well, but it was just like, it's not what we had planned.
Yep.
And I just watching it back is hard for me, because you'd watch it now and you can criticize, but it's but you don't know what the time was then. You'd think, why would you do it like that? Because it looks so weird. But so I feel like after that, you've just got a taste in your mouth of, are they going to want to do this? I mean, first of all, are we going to be allowed to film stuff again? Because it was COVID, we didn't know.
Yep.
But in my head, I thought, I think this will continue. So Max and I sort of started planning on filming something like a full story then, but didn't know what it was going to be.
So just to clarify, is this when you've been told it's not going to happen, or?
This is when I just think it's not going to happen. Yep. So we start planning, let's look at filming our own thing. And then they start talking about season 3, and I'm like, a part of me is like, do we even want to do season 3 now that we're so into filming our own thing? And
you're actually filming? I thought you were
No, just into discussing it.
Yeah.
Just into producing our own thing. Because we've wanted to branch off into narrative rather than sketch. We're like, how long can we do sketch for? But then, just to cut to the chase, they wanted season 3. So the production company, Big Yellow Taxi, that I was partnered with, they were keen for season 3, and Andy McIntyre, who's the head of Big Yellow Taxi, he and I get along great, and he was talking about the stand-up idea and this and that. And I'm like, season 3 is gonna be good, so we had meeting after meeting.
So you're feeling good, you're getting the ideas.
Yeah, this is happening. So I start writing it. We've written different character ideas, I've written a lot of sketches and, stuff that we didn't use the first time, not because it was bad, because we didn't get to because of COVID.
Oh, so you could reuse some.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, season 3 is happening, get excited. So then that's when I go to Thailand, do a bit of writing, meet friends, and then we say, then it got pushed back a bit, which, it was still COVID, and we're probably going to film in Queensland. And I'm like, all right, this is exciting. And these are the dates. So we've got dates we're filming and everything.
But that's when, okay. I don't
when you get dates, that's happening.
That's like done, signed. Yeah. Okay.
And I've got an email just said, we've got these dates we're filming all locked in. I'll have the like a contract for Troy to sign probably tomorrow, the next day.
I would have thought the contract would be before the dates.
No, well, that's where it's probably the dates are us as in us, me and Big Yellow Taxi. I guess you could say getting ahead of yourselves, but because they've been saying, you've got to start planning it.
Yep.
But and when on the Zoom calls when Andy was mentioning the dates, they're all going, yep, like nothing but yeses.
Wow.
And so that's why I say if they had said earlier we're not doing it, fine.
I get
move
it.
on.
It's
But
like being
now
led
I've changed my
on.
life for this.
Yeah.
And I'm in Thailand spending it up because I think I'm making season 3. So this is on a personal level why it was hard for me. So the girl who became my fiance, we get together. She's from England. She moves back moves to Melbourne to live with me. And she'd lived in Melbourne before 5 years ago and was planning on coming again, but then COVID happened. So it wasn't a big deal. But it was just more exciting because now she's got a reason to come. She's going to live with me. And literally, and so keep in mind, I haven't made money for 2 years because of COVID. So I've done nothing.
Yeah, no,
So season 3 is going to save me.
Yeah.
And then literally pretty much the day before she arrives, I get told season 3 isn't happening.
Oh.
So I then got to go from, and I was thinking she could work on it and, because she's into that sort of stuff. I go from planning all of that to, and, not to get too much in this, but I was planning on possibly buying the apartment I was living in and, whatever.
Yeah.
Just to get some stability that we we all lack in this industry. So I go from that to having to, so I tell her, season 3 isn't happening. Obviously, she doesn't realize how big a deal that is, and I don't make it a big deal. But that means now to...
Oh, you don't? I would have thought you'd be, like, literally crying in your bedroom. Like, no, I'm being 100% serious.
Well, that's the thing. I got to, like...
Oh, because she's here.
I'm trying to keep her confident that...
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're not going to... We can survive. I'm like... So now I got to come up with a new live show to provide income. So the comedy festival was coming up in, like, I think 5 months.
That's not very long.
And that's not long at all.
No, people.
And I'm like,
a new 1 hour.
I'm going to try and get a new hour in 5 months. So she's just arrived, and I'm like going out every night and doing a comedy gig somewhere.
Yep.
And it was still cool and fun, but I'm like, I was saying it's not always going to be like this. Once I get the show and it's good, then I can cruise for I tour the show and whatever. So I do that, but it was hard. I remember my mate, Carl Chandler, who you might know. He runs Basement Comedy in the city, which is an awesome comedy club.
I've never met him, but I know he does that. I don't know what's happened with the podcast, but podcast.
Yeah, he's been doing podcasts he's the podcast man, isn't he? He's been doing it before podcasts were invented, him and Ricky Gervais. And I remember when I went and did his room, and it sort of didn't hit me till he talked to me. And Danny McGinley, I remember, said it as well about the show not happening. And he goes, I feel for you because it's like when like that Seinfeld comedian documentary. I feel like that's what you're doing. but not by choice. You're starting again from scratch.
Yep.
And it was like, not until he said it did it make me go, yeah, you're right. Even though he was right and being supportive,
Yep.
it made me sort of go, oh yeah, I'm really starting from the bottom again.
Because when was the last time you done stand-up inverted commas properly?
Yeah, properly as in new stuff, building a show was like Carl was good at and you know, I've been headlining and touring my own show and stuff, but doing new stuff. And Carl said, he goes, I did notice on your spot then you weren't standing up the front of the stage like you normally would. Like I was sort of hanging back because
I wanted
a bit
confidence.
yeah. So then the next time, you get right up in their face, and it does just change your confidence and persona that they're seeing.
Yeah.
So it was just so weird to be getting tips, and rightfully so.
Yeah. Was that hard though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's it was hard in that I had to just stay positive, and not think like we've said before with the goalposts and stuff.
Yeah.
Put aside, stop going, "Oh, season 3, fucking hell. Like, you can say that a million times over the next year if you want. It's not going to change anything. It's just going to take away from what you're building now, the performance you're putting on now.
Yeah.
So you got to let it go.
That's still very mature of you because you've got a lot of things, inverted commas, maybe not working in your favor. You know, you've got this new partner. You want to show her a great life. You're super stressed. Money's also involved. Stand up, you were doing all the other stuff. You're trying to rebuild those stand up muscles. 5 months is not a long time whatsoever. And going up every single night, there's so many things.
And you're basically going up. You're not making money going up. Say some rooms you are making, but you're using it to build material, which I'll say in inverted commas because it's the wrong word, but normal people, people that aren't comedians don't understand. They're like, how much did you get paid for that gig? Well,
it's not about
nothing,
that.
$100. It's like going to the gym. You're just working out, getting material.
And then
they don't understand it. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you do get paid at the gigs. It's just not like
but it's also like
but
you build it up for a long time. So you
Yeah.
go to a comedy festival and that's when the money will come.
Exactly. Yeah. But also, I'm just watching. Obviously, I had money saved from doing the TV show, but it's just dropping because I'm not making any money. And for 2 years, I hadn't made. And you still, you got to pay your rent, you got to pay your bills. You're paying tax when you're not making money. I don't know how that works, but you are. And it just dropped down to nothing. And so, I basically built up. I somehow get a show ready for festival.
That's pretty impressive.
What was good because I've got the show's called Made Wrong.
Because if you're
because a lot of people think it just means you're going to talk about wrong stuff, whatever. But it's medically I made the wrong way round, hence the name.
Your heart's on the other side.
My heart's on the other side. My lungs are flipped.
And your penis
everything,
and
my
bum
liver
are on the other side.
Everything's the wrong way around, and I get sick very easily and stuff like that. So I had a reaction to the vaccine. Which my doctor basically said, something's probably going to happen when you have the vaccine, but if you don't have it, something worse might happen. So it's all right, here we go. Let's get on this roller coaster.
Lose situation.
Yeah, so I had heart palpitations and that from it.
Shit, I've had a few friends with that, but
I think if you had an existing condition, it didn't go well.
How are you feeling now?
Yeah, I'm back on track now through, I'll say, Chinese medicine, acupuncture.
Yes. I won't go into too much of it.
Karina Smith in Newport, I'll give her a shout out. She saved me.
A family member has probably treated 10, 15, 20 people with heart stuff through natural stuff. We're very big on that as well.
Well, that's what Karina said, and I hope she doesn't mind me saying that. So she looked at my blood work.
Yeah.
And I'd been to doctors and I was on, I was on antibiotics and steroids, on and off for
you would have been so inflamed.
I was doing, I did 5 gigs in a row at Brisbane, just so sick. I had a chest infection, throat infection. I just had to do them. And I do a meet and greet, so I had to tell people, I'm sick, so if you want to take the risk and come and get a selfie or say hello, it's up to you. But I gave her, she just wanted my blood work. I didn't tell her anything, and she guessed what was going on with me without me telling her anything. I'm like, well, you know what you're talking about. And she said, the reason I bring it up is 50% of her clients at the moment are people who got the vaccine, but they had an existing condition.
Yeah.
So she's basically leveling you out. Yeah. I had this drink she gave me that night. She goes, if there is any inflammation or infection in you from all the antibiotics, that's why I brought up both bottles, steroids and antibiotics, had on there, may cause weight gain. I'm like, oh, fucking great. I'm on these for a year. Yeah. And I'm one of those people, if it's going to happen, let's turn on the fat tab and enjoy the ride. Yeah. But I had that drink that night and I was on the toilet for about 2 hours, but it felt amazing.
Yeah, because you're just cleansing and purging
all
that shit.
In 2 days, I was sort of back on track.
Oh, so, yeah. Good for her. Thank you for shouting her out. I think it's important.
Yeah,
to know this
it was
stuff.
amazing. And yeah, so in that time, I got the show ready, but there was one long joke, right? So when you're doing, for example, the best place to try stuff, I reckon, and this is for anyone who's, I always tell this to people going to the comedy festival, who should we see in that? Like, in the month leading up to the festival, go to the Comics Lounge on a Tuesday night.
Yeah,
because you'll see all the pro comics trying their stuff. It's a new material night, trying their festival show stuff. And it's the cheapest night of the best comedy you will see.
Oh, because that could be real hit and miss.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, yeah, but you'll also see people like me getting up there shitting themselves because you're trying new stuff. But you get basically 7 minutes, right? You got 7 minutes to try a couple of new things. Yep. I had this joke, which was a true story, but I just found all the funny in it. So that's what the part of the show is. I'm finding the funny side of things that are, I should be depressed about that are wrong with me, but there's always a funny flip to it.
Okay, I like that.
So this was a story about when I got my sperm checked. And the story goes for about 12 minutes, but it is funny the whole way. But because you get 7 minutes, I could never practice the whole thing. So when I did my festival show, I feel bad for who were essentially the best fans who bought tickets to the first couple of shows, because my big finale joke, I was doing it for the first time really in front of people. So I was still trying it out, but it was good enough to pass, but I've since fine-tuned it somewhat. But yeah, so I got that show going, did it in Edinburgh, and I'm still doing it now.
Yeah. Oh, so that's
still
the one you're
touring
doing.
That. Yeah, I'm just because I put so much into it and it took so much from me and drained so much energy. I'm like, I'm going to milk this show for as long as I can.
Well, going to Edinburgh is exciting. And
yeah.
Also, congratulations to you for mentally keeping yourself, to actually get that show out there.
Well, that was the thing too that I was going to touch on. When I was doing that, there was still talk of season 3 of Kinne Tonight. We could do a Christmas special, and then that might lead to something else. And I was just like,
oh,
part of me. But then I just let that fizzle out.
Yeah,
just like, how long are we going to cling to it for? Because, like we said, it's just taking your energy. Yeah.
But that's really important, especially in all facets of life, but especially creativity. Sometimes you need to know when to just kind of move on.
And pour yourself into, in this game we can have lots of things going on at once, but I like to just pour myself into one thing at a time at least.
Yeah.
So I was working on this new show. I'm like, this is the thing that I'm excited about, that's going to get me moving forward, momentum. So I'm just going to pour myself into this. Yeah. If now and then there's a sketch someone wants to do or whatever. Yeah. But when you're talking about coming up with a Christmas special, that's like, I don't see that happening, because to focus on that, I've got to not focus on this. And this is where all the momentum and the promise is at the moment.
Such good advice. I needed to hear that. And then tying back, to what you said at the start, moving the goalpost. How long did it take you after Kinne Tonight didn't get season 3 before you could go, you know what, I did 2 seasons of a great show?
Yeah. Well, part of it is, so I always had in my contract, so to speak, that I could put the stuff online afterwards. And that's when, I think that's when, after season 3, when we decided, I forgot about this really, that season 3 was happening, and we had to ask, okay, so am I allowed to just go off and do something on another channel now?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, you're out of contract now.
Oh, do they have like a non-compete clause or something?
Yeah, something like that. So,
okay.
Well, it's just sort of not the thing to, like, so when I was doing Kinne Tonight, I would miss out on a lot of things. Like I got offered but asked if I wanted to do.
Oh, is this radio?
No, radio I have, but this shows like Celebrity Big Brother, the Full Monty, and other shows similar to that.
Yeah.
But they're on different channels, and I'm like, I assume I can't because my show is on Channel 10.
Yeah.
But maybe I could. But also because I edit the show and that, it takes up a lot of time, which I love. But I did miss out on, and I missed out on doing the festival a lot of years, which is, it's a regret, but it's a good regret to have because but it's like, we probably could have timed it that I could have done both, but.
Okay, gotcha. I like how you say good regret, so you can. Yeah, it's not like I couldn't do it, but now you.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice that's worth it.
Yep.
But then I did message Channel 7, and this is a good indication of why you should be kind to everyone. So when we were doing Kinne, there was a young guy working there, and I won't say his name or what job, but he was just working the equivalent of, it's a bit of a stereotype or a cliche, sorry, that the person in the mailroom.
Yeah.
It was the equivalent of that. This young guy who was a fan. And Mary Ann said, "Oh, he's a great fan. If you've got time to say hello." I said, "Yeah." So I went and said hello to him, and we talked for a long time. It's almost me doing a favour for Mary Ann or whatever. Yep. Anyway, cut to season 2 of Kinne tonight, finished, season 3's not happening. Mary Ann mentions to me that guy is now like the head of comedy or whatever at Channel 7.
Wow.
So I email him and he's like, "Oh, mate,
wow."
Because he remembered how much we got along. And, I could have just said, "I'm busy."
And you met someone.
So he was keen to possibly do a sketch show on 7.
Wow.
And I said, "Mate, I've got sketches written and that." And, and he's like, and I remember him saying this couldn't have come at a better time because we're actually looking for something. And then for some reason it just didn't happen. And again, COVID was in full swing. So, but I think then from memory they did another sketch show, which I think I got asked to be a writer on. And part of me just went, "Go fuck yourself." So I got my solo show going, which I'm still doing. And sorry if I'm preempting a question from you, but
no.
That's all. My solo show would almost be weirdly the proudest thing I've done because it was under such duress circumstances. I was under a lot of pressure, and I actually doubted myself so in my old stand-up show, I've got this one section where I talk about my mum and dad. So I at one point did a whole festival show about my mum and dad.
Yep.
And there's a whole section of my show about my mum and dad, and it just goes awesome. Like
nice.
The laughs just peak, and it kills. And I remember specifically doing it almost for the last time as a full show.
Yep.
But when I do stand-up, I can chuck that bit in now and then if I'm headlining somewhere. But I remember doing it and knowing next week I'm starting to write new stuff.
Yep.
And I remember doing it and the crowd, enjoying it. But I had nothing but sadness in me because all I was thinking was, how the fuck am I going to come up with another string of jokes like this that goes this well? And I just said, it can't be done. So I was trying new jokes and stuff just, when one doesn't work, you're like, fuck, this isn't. And you start looking at what am I going to do if this doesn't happen?
Yep.
And then this is where perseverance pays off because you just keep at it. And it is it's a pretty boring analogy, but it is like going to the gym. Like you've got to put yourself through some shit to get results.
Agreed.
And so I know, and I reckon I'm worse at it than a lot of people. When I do a joke for the first time that I've written, it's always way too long, way too many words.
Yep.
But I also know, there'll be one sentence that's a funny sentence, but I'm like, I bet you that doesn't go well, but I'm going to fucking say it anyway just in case.
Yep.
So I need mentally to know I've left no stone unturned.
Yeah, but that's smart.
Yeah, but you got to stand up and have your ego comes, especially when. So I would do, gigs where I'm headlining because they sort of want, because I guess I've been on. They can say from
You're
Channel
a big
10
name,
or
you
whatever.
can say it.
I'll headline like a pub. But I'm like, well, I don't want these people to leave going, he was shit, because I'm trying new stuff.
The balance of new material.
So I do old stuff, put in some new stuff, then finish with old stuff.
But I just want to build context to that because, you're a big name here. You've been doing this for a while. People know who you are. It can be extremely daunting to be able to just do new material when they
Yeah.
expect. And they're going to, they might talk about you.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I do it and get the balance right?
Because you can say it's ego that you want to, but it's also marketing. It's also, well, that's just like an ad that went shit for my brand, if
Yeah.
you dare say the word brand about yourself. So I was doing that, and it was when I was, I don't know if this is serendipitous or not, but I was having all the complications from the vaccine at the same time. So I was feeling like shit. And then I just, a few people telling them what my doctor had said and that, and it was funny. And my partner at the time said, you should talk about that in your stand-up. And my instinct is, what do you know? I'm like, it was funny, wasn't it? So then I basically realised, well, I've got this wrong with me, this, and they all sort of go down. So then I started, and I listened to a lot of other, like Kevin Hart was a great one I listened to, who was like, talking about yourself, because he had, it was Keith, someone said to him, you're telling jokes, talk about your experiences, dummy, I think he says.
Yep.
So that's what I embraced that a fair bit, and like found a way to make my flaws and things that I was depressed about be funny, and sort of encouraging that if you got something wrong with you, you're not alone. And
brilliant. And takes away the power.
And the plus side of that was talking about them. Each story was about a good 7 minutes. So I was building that hour pretty quick, but also then you get a couple of jokes that go well, and you're like, all right, I've got 5 minutes that's killing.
Yep.
This is when I first started comedy. I got 5 minutes that killed, and then next thing you knew, I got those bits that I said about my mum and dad. So what's to say that can't happen? And sure enough, now I have those bits where I'm like,
nice.
Wait till they see this, and then then part of my show goes nuts.
And also, given how challenging that was for you, by laughing at it, you're taking away the power of it as well. There's a lot of like mental hurt.
And that's literally a line I say in the show. I say it takes away its power. And it's sort of, so at the time I had, I've got my nephew who's turning 12 this weekend, and my next door to me, not anymore because we've both moved, but during COVID, there was a single mum and her 2 daughters. And we basically had a policy, we leave our doors unlocked because they would come in and use my TV to watch Disney Plus, Harry Potter and stuff. And their mum worked, so I'd like go and play games with them in the alleyway. Yeah. So
playing games with kids in the alleyway, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it could be looked at many different ways. But that was sort of part of it, because they were sort of getting into social media and stuff as well. And I remember them looking at, it's like when I would get out my Instagram, they'd be like, oh, give us a look. Because they wanted to look up certain like Kim Kardashian and that. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. So that's part of the meaning behind and the message of the made wrong thing too. Is like, don't look on Instagram to get what you should be doing, because everyone's posting perfection.
Yeah.
No one's putting up versions of themselves looking shit, so I was sort of trying to normalize having shit wrong with you.
It's a great lesson. Well, everyone's got something, and it's a great lesson, and you actually went through it. It wasn't empty words. It wasn't like something small. It's something big and a lot happening at once, and to, put it out. And even the fact, 5 months, not a lot, but to actually get out and hustle, that's amazing.
Yeah. I wish it's annoying that I don't have...
Sorry, are you okay with dogs?
Oh, yeah. It's annoying that...
No. Can you take the pretzels? Sorry, my dog just came in.
I'm annoyed I didn't... and this is an age thing, I think, because when Max and I were filming stuff, we'd go to the Comics Lounge and I'd do a bit of stand-up, and then we'd film the crowd doing something for a sketch. And,
cool, yeah.
And now that, Max has got kids, everyone I know has got kids, and we're all a bit older, it's harder to get... Even though technology-wise, it's easier to film constantly, but I wish... in building up that show, I filmed every show just to show. So there's one joke in particular, and I put it on YouTube because it's a joke I'm most proudest of, and it's just about getting a parcel delivered. Because I basically came up with the end and just said to myself, I'm going to make this work, that I get to the end and there's 3 callbacks at the end.
Yep, smart.
And I put myself through hell because I'd get up and it'd go for like 10 minutes and it'd be shit. But the end would always get a laugh. But I eventually got it there, and now it's sort of my favourite one to do, because at the end I see people, a lot of the stuff going viral online is crowd work and stuff. But I'm like, if my ego or pride has a say, I put that joke, and after I do it, I look at them like, yeah, that's a joke, motherfuckers. Because I see them sort of laughing like, oh God, that had a lot of twists, and I bring it back, and it's sort of, I just love that I refused to give in to that joke, and I made sure it worked.
Well, I think that's what separates a lot of comedians, and you've been doing this for so long. That's a skill set that not many people have, or the courage. And a lot of comedians, they can be really funny for a while, and they hit certain success, and then they're scared to, inverted commas, go backwards. But that's what separates the top comedians around the world, is the ones that are like, I think the expression in the stand-up world is eat shit. That are, willing to. They see a joke and it might not be quite working how you want it, but you try it, you keep on chipping away, and then after a while it becomes this joke that you're proud of. That's very terrifying and scary for a lot of people.
And that's when you do have to look at it almost as a job. I know it's like, we're doing something that's fun and all that, but if you can also get the mentality of when you used to have a job that was just for the money, or, other people have real hard jobs. I've done them. Some people do them for the rest of their lives. Because, you'll have a gig lined up where, you got 200 people to show, and some people can't fathom that sometimes I'm not in the mood to get up and talk to 200 people.
It's
and
hard.
You're like, oh, fuck, I got to do this. It's like, well, do you think, my dad who worked on the oil rigs woke up every day going, oh, I can't wait to do this. You're not in the mood. Get up and fucking do it. Give the people that do have hard jobs a bit of a break.
I like that, and I like that you bring it back to them. And also I want to go back to like your, actually doing it, because as a creative, it's I don't even have the words to express. Like I find it very inspiring. I know I've used that word a few times. I know people that look at you and find you very inspiring. You got a few no's from not getting season 3. Things, obviously you've had a fantastic career, but no, not everything has always gone to plan, and we've missed a few stories, but maybe we'll bring it up as well. You actually then go, I'm going to make something on my own. Fuck the networks, fuck everyone else. I'm going to do it. That's, first of all, scary because you're in money, which is already terrifying. But 2, to put yourself out there, you don't have a safety net. I know you've got like Max and Luke. That is terrifying. Tell me why you decided to do this.
Well, I feel like through lockdown, I did the right thing in terms of I wrote, and you might have done similar, I wrote like 3 series ideas. One of them I wrote
3.
And then one of them I kept writing. I wrote a different version of it, and then I wrote an animation version of it, just in case we never get to work in the same room again. And I was trying to organise meetings to pitch these things with streamers and whatnot. And Max and I, on the one that Marianne Carroll helped me out and told me the one that resonated with her the most, so let's make a pitch video for this. So Max and I filmed this proof of concept pitch, which I think was it's probably the most work we've put into something. And it was really good. It was different, and it was me walking along the alleyway again, no kids involved, talking about it. And we'd cut to, because we had, like you do, what are they called? It's a proof of concept, but when you use, it's like a theme video where you use clips that are similar to what the vibe you're looking for.
Oh, yeah, like what the show's like?
Yeah. There is a name for it. I can't remember it at the moment. But people will, basically to give you the vibe, they'll, get a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark because it's going to be an action show. And
I've got a lot to learn. I've never
tone.
had to pitch.
I think it's a tone thing. But what was good was we had all our backlog of Kinne Tonight stuff as the examples. So even when we were showing the tone, it was me in it and the cast, and we'd throw in some stuff that was from... Anyway, it was just good, and I thought, oh, well, this will at least get their attention. And basically, I couldn't get a meeting anywhere. I'm like, I've done, and as you've seen, I try to be pretty humble. I don't really think of myself as anything special. But we've done 4 series of our own TV show. We can basically make a video go viral when we want. and you won't even talk to me about an idea I've got. So I'm like,
so when you're like calling them up, they're like, yeah, maybe or no, or what does
in
that
their
mean?
defense, it was the end of COVID, and times were changing. No one knew what they could do, but they were saying we've got a full slate and stuff. I'm like, well, is that just an excuse? Or diversity was a big part of it, but I'm like, I don't have to be the lead in everything. And, diversity, I welcome it. Happy to embrace it, and it's a good thing. But we just couldn't get a foot in the door. So then, even when we started talking about I was like, let's make our own thing, because it's the only way it's going to happen. And even when in the past, when I got meetings where I'd made a podcast sitcom as an example, it was called The Lock-In, and I met with Stan, and they were like, yeah, make a few more. It's like, how much proof do you need? Because it went to number one, just because I had followers. Like, it was above Joe Rogan's podcast for a few days.
Shit. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I got a screenshot of it, don't worry.
I think I saw it. Was it on Instagram?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, nice. I would plug that everywhere.
It was fucking everywhere.
Billboards?
Yeah. I would have put it on a blimp if I could have. And it's still like, the feedback is always, make more. They need absolute proof that something works before they'll take a chance on it, which, I guess makes sense. I don't know what the pressure's like in their world, but also when you see potential, you've got to come to the table a bit.
I agree.
Come to the party. So, and people found it hard to get their head around it. I was like, even when we were filming, Steve, the art department guy who worked on Kinne Tonight, one of my great friends, amazing at his job.
Nice. The
whole time he thought this was a proof of concept thing. I'm like, no, I'm putting it out there. Like, I want to show that people will watch this and people like it, because that's the only way you'll get further. Because I guarantee if we send this to someone, they'll say, yeah, that's good. Are you going to make any more?
Yeah,
they just want proof that something has longevity. They want every box ticked. And even when we were talking about with Max, there was talk of, should we just film like a 10-minute trailer? I'm like, no, we did that. Like, think of the thing we filmed. We did it. No one will watch it. So why are we wasting our time? So, and credit to Max, he's the one that reminded me, everything that the network or whoever offers us to help make it, we can already do. Max has a camera. He's a director. I can edit. I'll be in it. Luke comes on board as producer, he's definitely the missing piece of the puzzle. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, he inspires me as well.
So once we had Luke on board, I'm like, and I feel stupid that Max had to point that out to me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why are we, as long as I can raise some money, like I just did a bunch of live shows, put money aside. It's not easy to do. You got to make some sacrifices. And my parents have never been so proud. Money I probably could have used as a house deposit. I've made a video on YouTube. But so I feel like that was the only option. You can get talked out of it and make an easier option.
Yep.
But it was like, and if anyone listening is thinking of doing something similar, I pretty much went to the extreme. I made something that's movie length, full on. It doesn't have to be that big.
Yeah.
We could have done it for half the length, half the money. I would make something that has half the characters I fucking had, because you write something, and as you'll probably know, you just let your mind carry away, and you don't realise, if we actually make this, we have to find that person who's a 70-year-old who has to get caught going down on Rob Mills.
That was such a... Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yep. So, and all these other characters. So we could have probably made it smaller, as in cast. Everything could have been smaller, and it still would have been good.
Yep.
But I just went, well, we've got this written. It's funny. We all love it. Let's just make this.
Nice.
So we gave ourselves a cap of money, which without Luke we couldn't have done. Luke got the budget down and made that all work, and just has one of those brains that can organise and calculate.
Yep.
And we got it done. And then after we do it, then there's again talk, well, do we just put this on out there, or should we send it to networks, whatever? I'm like, we said from the start, we're just making this and putting it out there. Let's not, at the final stride at the finish line, we're going to become pussies. We got to do it. Yeah.
Okay, I've got so many questions. How does it feel, going back to the goalpost, as we said, how long did it take you from when when Kinne season 2 didn't happen, and now when do you look back at the goalpost and go, holy shit, 2 seasons of that, I've actually done this show? I'm sure like a younger version coming out of school will be like, I could self-produce a high quality.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm a bit I'm annoyed at myself I didn't do it sooner after Kinne Tonight.
Yep.
Because I had money then to do it, but like I said, partner had just moved in.
Yep.
That money also needed to pay for rent and stuff like that. So I felt like if we do it now, then what?
Yep.
Which, goes against my crazy way of thinking, but you got to give yourself, like, again, stand up, safety net.
Yep.
So get the stand-up show going. All right, that's going. And as we just said, I'm still doing it now. So even after I've made Full Story, and that took a chunk of money and took me back to square one, I'm still doing stand-up now and keeping my head above water.
Yep.
But when to think that to go from, should we film something ourselves? I've got a camera, you can edit. The fact that it's done, that's the achievement. Like,
Yep.
It's almost like what happens with it next. I mean, of course I care, but I can be satisfied in that I would have more regrets if we didn't do it than if we did it and it didn't go anywhere. Because there's a good chance nothing will happen with it now. But if I was sitting here right now and I hadn't made Full Story, I'd still be like,
you can't live with regrets.
Yeah. Why didn't we do it? Who knows what could have happened? Now at least that's done.
I brought this up 100 times on the podcast. Have you heard of Bronnie Ware? She was a palliative care nurse at the time, and she would speak to people who were about to die of sound mind, and she'd ask them their top regrets. And, the number one regret was, I wish I lived the life that I wanted to live, and not what I thought others wanted to live, which ties into what you said, regrets. That can be...
Regrets will haunt you. Yeah. That's the biggest thing to avoid. And even if the result isn't good,
yep,
eliminating the regret or the not knowing is the achievement in itself.
I agree, and sort of with the TV developmental deal that I had, there were like questions asked, and I could have just signed it there and then, but I needed to ask questions and discuss the process, and ultimately it didn't happen, which I'm so grateful for because would have been terrible. Wow. But if I would have just signed, I would be probably not even involved in that show, and they would have cut me out, and they would have changed the show I could have had a TV show, which I will have a TV show. Everyone, if you're a producer, let's work together. But that regret would have been way worse. I know it's a little bit different to what you're saying, but that would have been brutal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Going with your instincts pays off so much, I've found.
I heard you said on Will Anderson's podcast talking about your gut. And that's really, we'll quickly talk about this. This is something I also apply, trusting your gut. And I think that's so crucial. Can you tell me how you discovered this? Because I think it's a compass. It's like a superhero power that we all have. Yeah. We ignore it all the time, and it's always right.
Well, that connects to the regrets. I've found that when you go with your instinct, trust your gut, I mean, I will say 99% of the time it pays off.
Yep.
And even if it doesn't, the reverse of it, of not going with your instinct, is worse.
Yep, definitely.
And when you look back on, because if you think of something or something, a proposal is given to you or whatever, a decision to make, and your instinct immediately says this, but then you look at the fine print and the money or whatever, but whatever, and you change that.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times, and I've never looked back and not thought I should have gone with my instinct. Every fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you go with your instinct and it doesn't work out, at least you can say, well, I went with my instinct.
Yeah. Well, you can't
Because if
blame
you
me.
say, I should have gone with my instinct, that hurts so much more.
Because you can only really blame yourself, no one else. I think that's really important. How did you discover it? Was it just through trial and error? I know your mum's meant to be spiritual. Is it like something that's taught upon you, or?
I think I must have seen it or heard someone else talking about it. I can't remember the exact like clip or who it was. I wish I could, but it was just, but it was something, I remember hearing it, someone else saying it and just having a moment to myself of thinking, like of past experience. And I'm like, that is true. I know Josh Lawson said to me, never make a decision based on money.
Yeah.
And that's an instinct thing, like, because, that's avoiding your instinct. And and I think I said, oh, that's a good point. When I was like confiding in him about something I was trying to make a decision on. And he said, and if you want proof of that, wipe out Australia. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
He was the commentator on Wipe Out Australia. And I guess he wishes he didn't do it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because if you've got a safety net, like we said, and you know you're going to be okay, even if it's not flourishing all the time, but you don't have to do something if you're 50%, I might regret this. It's probably not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And last thing on Full Story, I loved it. Great cast, and I just had Genevieve on. She killed it. All the characters. You casted so well on that, by the way.
A lot of luck involved, but Genevieve was always who I wanted for that role. She caught my eye.
Even Rob Mills, he was here.
Oh, Millsy. Has Millsy been on this, has he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing. But just the nicest guy and clearly willing to do anything. That's what's good about him.
No, but it was so good given his character. I won't give too many spoilers, but I was laughing out loud. It was hilarious. It's going to be in the episode notes and your tour dates as well, so people can check it out.
Oh, great.
But it just looked like everything worked. Like it just looked like unity.
And that's the thing too. That's when I know, instinctively that this is what I should be doing, is because we filmed that in a week and I probably slept 4 hours a night, if that, but I was not tired once. I just had full energy and absolutely
Because you're doing
loved
something
it.
that's...
Yeah.
Luke said that you would be discussing stuff and he's like, take a break. He's like, take a break. And you're like, yeah. And then you would edit like something that would take a week and have it ready the next day.
Yeah, because I just loved it. And that's when I realised we just got to find a way to keep doing this because we work so well together and it's clearly what I should be doing for my soul.
Yep.
Because I felt great.
If you can be energized working those type of hours, using that type of mental energy, you're on like absolute purpose and passion. Like you're going to find, it will happen, but regardless if there's a few tweaks, that is the ultimate goal. That's what I like chase. That's like heroin for the...
Yeah. That's success right there. When you're doing something and you don't even notice you're quote unquote working, then you've got it.
You've tied it up for me. Anything else on that before we do a quick rapid fire segment?
I'll probably just ruin it if I say anything.
Okay, we're going to do a really quick rapid fire segment to wrap up the podcast.
Cool.
You mentioned that you've been doing meditation and sound healing, sound baths. How have they helped and what else do you do for your mental health?
Yeah, well, I've got to try and start doing it again because I've got a bit lazy with the TM, Transcendental Meditation. You've done that?
No, I've been meditating every day for like 10 years now. Or maybe less.
Well, what got me into looking up what it was and how to do it was Jerry Seinfeld, who's one of my favourite people.
Yeah. Have you met him?
Sorry?
Have you met him?
I haven't met him, no.
It made it seem like, we're besties.
Yeah. I went and I'd love to meet him because I got so many little stories I could tell him of people I know who know him. And I went to his show in Melbourne.
Yeah, same.
And
Great show.
I went to one in 1990 something.
Holy shit, yeah.
We'n had just finished.
Oh, wow.
And I only had money for a ticket. My brother came with me. My younger brother we're both from Sale. He got the train up. And I bought tickets off a lady who was selling them in like Eltham or somewhere.
Yeah.
And I caught a train, a bus, and then walked like 5 Ks to this, holding the Melways of showing me where to go. The backpack, and got the tickets off her, and then she was driving somewhere, and she was in the biggest house I'd seen, so rich, yeah, I got them for my son, but now he can't go. And, all this. And she was driving back, and I was so sort of shy, or I just felt like a scumbag that I didn't belong there. And I wish I didn't have the balls to say, could you drop me off at the train station? And I walked back, got the bus, got the train. Then by the time I got home, it was 6 o'clock. My brother went back in, went to the city. Like what I went through to go and see Jerry Seinfeld. Yep. But so when my best mate's wife, she went to a transcendental meditation thing, and her and I were going to go as a couple because she got a discount. So we had to pretend we were married.
That's such a curb moment right there.
Yeah. And Jerry Seinfeld is like his posters up. He's got pictures of him everywhere. Yep. So he's the hook. But when he described it as, that feeling once a year when you've had a good sleep and you wake up and go, oh, I actually slept good. He goes, that's what it does every day. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh my God, I need that in my life. And when I first started doing it, it did help. Like you just feel energized, and I would sleep better. But it's just the commitment of doing it.
I do it first thing in the morning, so that way I've got no excuse. But I write through, I think I've written most of my screenplays purely through just meditating and writing work.
Amazing.
Yeah, like I wrote a movie, I got a concept through 1 minute, and it's going to sound mental, sorry about my dog, mental to most people, but maybe you don't think I'm so weird. I think I wrote, Barney, stop. I think I wrote like 15 pages through one meditation of this movie idea. I had no idea what it was about. And I was like, what the fuck? Have I been unplugged from the Matrix, and it changed my life. And now it was 200 pages from that, and now I've had to cut. It's like 150, which is too long. But it's been a game changer.
You should meditate again and make cuts.
That's a good one. What are you most proud of?
Well, like I said, the stand-up show, because that's probably the biggest achievement personally in going against, what was going on in my life and just really digging myself out of a bad spot and pursuing. But I'd also say just Kinne in general, first season of Kinne. Just the fact that
Which
we
Kinne?
did it.
You as the Kinne? Or
Kinne, the sketch show on 7, mate. But if you want to put it down to something that has all of those elements, risk, perseverance, trusting yourself, and just saying, fuck it, full story.
Yeah.
Because we just made something, and now we're like, we can make whatever we want.
I know.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm going to keep on throwing that word inspiring, because that's the best word. Inspires me, motivates me. It shows other people, even if you're not a creative, that you can do it yourself. Find the right people, find the right team. And
yeah, definitely.
Who's the best comedian in Australia?
Dave Hughes.
Any advice you've given advice, but we'll see if it changes. Any advice you want to give to people who want to try something different or new, but perhaps fearful of doing so?
Definitely try it, because like we've touched on a lot here, the regret of not trying it is worse than trying it and failing.
Agreed.
Definitely.
And before I ask how people can follow you and keep up to date with you, I saw that you looked at some of the mock pre-questions that I sent to get guests thinking. Anything you want to tie up? Anything that...
No, I'm trying to think what stood out in there. I think this is a good one for people who are just getting into, especially with social media and younger people, and they see that you've done some things. They always ask, how did you get that? Well, and it's probably a bit of an annoying answer, but as we spoke about, when Max and I were filming videos just every day or every second day and ended up with a TV show, it's because we were filming that stuff with no expectations at all. We didn't think, all right, if we film some of these, we'll get a TV show. If we film this and send it to these people, no, we were just putting online purely for the joy of it. And like we touched on, it's a bit of a, could be a bit of a stretch, but people can sense that. When you're making something on your own for the love of it, people can feel it.
Yep.
And that's what connects them a little bit more than, if it's a big production or something like that. So I would say to those people this quote, which is my favourite, from Steve Martin, when people are asking, how do you get a manager? I've had that a lot. Who manages you? How can I get a manager? And Steve Martin said the same thing the people ask him that. He goes, just be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Just whatever you love doing, pour yourself into it and the rest will come. Don't worry about it, because if it comes under false pretenses, then it's pointless anyway.
Yeah.
So that's always been a favourite one of mine. And one, not to tell you, but one that I reflect on myself when I'm like, you know, because you see other people doing things and whatever. And I think jealousy is sometimes a healthy thing.
Because it shows you what you want.
If it's not in a relationship, like, like someone like Ronnie Chang, for example, I'll happily say I'm so jealous of him, but in a loving way.
Yeah, you're happy for him.
He's a mate of mine, and seeing him, he's in New York. Like, I wish I had lived in New York. He's done Seinfeld's Cars Getting Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm so jealous, but in a good way. I'm like, that would be amazing. And it makes you think, well, work hard and these things come.
Yep. Brilliant. Great way to end the podcast. Before we go, how can people follow you, keep up to date with you and all that stuff?
Yeah, my socials are normally pretty much just Troy Kinne, which is Kinne. It's always one that gets misspelled, often by me, sadly. I'm probably spelling it wrong there. TroyKinne.com, but just Troy Kinne on Instagram and Facebook. Type in Kinne and you'll find me.
Cool. You're empowering, and I'm going to say the word again, inspiring, and you're very humble, and you've got so many great stories. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me, mate. I've had a ball. It's fun.
I love how Troy just went out and did the thing he wanted to do. Often in life, and I can be guilty of this, we say we want to achieve the big old grand thing, but when push comes to shove, sometimes we can cower. Troy followed his passion, honoured his intuition and gut, and did it. As he said earlier, I'm nothing special. If he can do it, then so can we. He further explains how he doesn't want to be governed by regrets, which is amazing, but also how the sense of achievement is something to be proud of. I love this because sometimes having the big dream or goal can be daunting, but Troy narrows the path, puts that to the side, and just did it. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. If someone else has done it, I can do it too. If no one has, then I can be the first. Soraya. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy.